means it out of these six, there are five principal organs on which the United Nations work, and the other we will discuss later, which is the sixth organ, and it has been suspended in 1994.
See, sixth principal organ is very important. Okay, so you have to make sure among the UN, when they are asking you to pitch about the sixth principal organ, don't name the organs that you know. Okay, the UN organs. So pay attention, and we'll highlight the points. So you can just take a screenshot and keep.
Yes, so out of
Can
this
you
six
show the third slide, please?
Okay. Someone said to show the first one. Someone is taking screenshot. So out of these six principal organs, five principal organs are very important, and the fifth and the sixth one we'll talk about it later. It's one of these. So let's talk about the first principal organ, which is the UN, United Nations General Assembly. General Assembly means it's an informal meeting or an assembly of all the 193 countries and the 2 observer states, and it may resolve a non-compulsory recommendations to states or suggestions to the Security Council. The Security Council is, there are 15, we'll talk about it later, that there are 15 countries in the Security Council, out of which 5 are permanent members. And the General Assembly decides on the admission of new members followingly proposed by the United Security Council. It elects so as I said that it has, the United Security Council has 15 members, and the General Assembly selects the non-permanent members of the UNSC. All members of it's the economic and social one. This is another organ of United Nations, and the UN Secretary General, which is Antonio Guterres, following the proposal by the ICJ. ICJ is the Indian International Court of Justice, Netherlands. So
if you have any queries, please put in the chat box, because he's in the flow of explaining. So if you speak, he'll not get to know things. And at the end of the session, he might give you 5 minutes to go across all the, the slides. Then you can ask your questions. Okay, thank you.
Yes, so there are 193 countries, and for electing the non-permanent members, each country has 1 vote. And the headquarters of General Secretary as General Assembly is New York City, USA. Most of the principal organs, assemblies, and all the councils its headquarters are mainly in United States or in USA. So let's 1 minute. Something ready. So let's continue. So next is the UN Secretary Council. It is responsible for the maintenance of international peace and security. It may adopt compulsory resolutions, as there are, and as I've said that there are 15 members, 5 permanent members, which are USA, UK, France, Russia, and China, with veto power. Veto power means if there is a decision which is to be made, then all the 5 countries must rely or have the same decision, or else they can
okay, everybody, 5 countries you must know. Okay, they are the ones who are highlighted for joining your armed forces. You need to know them. Okay, under the UN.
Yes, so there should be a unilateral decision, and if one of the permanent members of the council does not have any other suggestion or is not agreeing to the other 4 ones, then it can use veto power. Veto power means it can disallow the decision made by the other four countries, and the decision might not pass in the general assembly. Now the 10 and the, as I said, that general assembly selects the 10 elected members of the Security Council, and India is in this term 2021 to 2022. India is one of the 10 elected members, and out of 15, the 10 are non-permanent members. So now also the headquarters are. Please name the observer states. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll name the observer states later. We'll get to the PPT first. And as I said that most of the our headquarters are in USA. So Security Council also has its headquarters in New York City.
Bau, aku nako.
I want everybody to mute yourself, please.
So the third one is the UN Economic and Social Council. This is responsible for the cooperation between the states as regards with economic and social matters. Means if there is any economic misbalance in the countries or in the trades, then this assembly or council is responsible for the peacefulment of the countries which are having disputes amongst each other. Coordinates cooperation between the UN's numerous specialized agencies. This council has 54 members, which is elected by the General Assembly to serve the staggered.
Do you know what is General Assembly? The base question that will be asked. Are you aware? Why your heads are down? Look up and answer. What is General Assembly? Wait. What is this? Like this, you'll explain to the officer. Yes, very good. Sit straight. Why are you sitting here? Because you have to even count on your dressing and your body language. Coffee with current you're sitting. Sit properly, everybody. You should know what is it, okay? And while you explain, not bouncing over. Okay, continue, sir.
Yes. So there are 54 members, and its headquarters. There are two headquarters. The first one that we are seeing in the picture is in New York City, USA, and the former one is in Geneva, Switzerland. So this is an yes. So the fourth one is the UN Trusteeship Council, and this is the one which is inactive since 1994, as when Paulo the last trust treaty attained independence, because it was it was priorly included in the Soviet Union, and this council was originally designed to manage the colonial possessions that were former League of Nations mandates. And since this treaty was inactive because all the countries in the world were independent and were having their own government, own type of governments. Hence, then because Polo was in under of a country, and then later when it was freed, then this council went inactive. Its headquarters is located in New York City, USA. And the fifth one is Yes, so the fifth one is the International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice
Very important.
is in The Hague, Netherlands, and India is also related previously because our Kulbhushan Jadhav case was fought by can someone tell who fought the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav?
Who fought?
Who was the lawyer?
Yours.
Yes, it's Harit Salve. It's the correct answer.
Okay.
Hmm?
Could name them and check who's right now.
Yes. Good. Whoever answered it
Can I
correct,
know your
it's the
name?
correct.
मला का सांगायचं आलं की तू सांग तू बोलते म्हणून सांग
No interaction. How will you pass your GD? May I know who answer? Yes, that's the right answer. That's how you have to be interactive. Come on, Dave, don't laugh. Be serious.
Now 10 seconds have passed, man. We'll move next. So the headquarters are located in Hague, Netherlands. The renders judgment by relative majority. It's 15 judges are elected by the Union General Assembly for 9-year terms. Here also there are 15 judges, as in the Security Council there are 15 members. So the sixth organ is the UN Secretariat. It supports the other UN bodies administratively, for example, in the organizations of conferences, the writing of reports and studies, and the preparation of the budget. Means if so, the last year that India proposed the third budget plan, UN also helped India and in proposing the budget and also making changes and to make the budget more successful and more sufficient. So its chairperson is the Union Secretary General, which is Antonio Guterres. It is elected by the General Assembly for a 5-year mandate and is the UN's foremost representation. Foremost representation because it digs deep into the government and helps them to have a new and a good budget for the country. And the Secretary General is elected by the General Assembly, which is of 193 members. So what is India's role in United Nations? So we should know that India is one of the original members and the founding members of the United Nations that signed the declaration by United Nations at Washington, D.C. on the 1st January 1942. And as a founding member, India has also been a very important role, has played an important role in the funding and the peacekeeping forces of the United Nations. And we'll get to the peacekeeping forces, as India has a very significant amount of troops in the peacekeeping missions. As the founding member, India strongly supports the purposes and principles of the UN and has made significant contributions in implementing its goals. United Nations also has 17 sustainable goals which they are planning to have or to sustain and make it good for the countries in Africa and other places till 2030. India has been a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council for 8 terms, with the most recent being the 2021-22 term, as I've said earlier. So let's see the contributions of India in United Nations peacekeeping forces. So India is the third largest contributor of troops to United Nations peacekeeping forces. And the first one is Bangladesh, second one is Pakistan. And the second point is that more than 1.6 million Indian troops served in United missions in past 50 years. And out of 71 missions, 52 missions were done by Indians. And the 1.6 million troops is the largest by any country that it has given to the United Nations. Currently, there are 8,500 peacekeepers in the field, which is twice as many as the UN's 5 big powers combined, which is the 5 permanent members: USA, UK, France, China, and Russia. Yes, so India is currently the fourth largest police contributing country with 1.009 officers, and the third largest contributors of female police officers. So India has played a very great role and has also served many officers in the peacekeeping forces.
So in the contribution when it comes to the UNA, India has played a major role. That's how you need to know about the rating of the ranks between the male and the female officers, as well as he highlighted about the mission that they have done, about the troops. Okay.
So now we'll come to the debatable topic, which is why should India be as a permanent member? So the reasons for that are that India has the world's second largest population and is the world's largest liberal democracy. It is also the world's first largest economy, fifth largest economy, and third largest in terms of purchasing power parity as of 2020.
You can note down.
Meanwhile, you can take the screenshot or take the points out of this slide. Yes, so we were talking about why should India be as a permanent member in the United Nations Security Council. So there are many reasons. The reasons are listed there here, and we should also the largest army country, which is very advantageous and has a very big army and navy forces, and also one of the best weapons in the world. India is the largest contributor of troops in United Nations peacekeeping missions, as I've said earlier, and hence United Nations should have a council of it and talk with the General Assembly. And also there is a G4 group, which is of Germany, Japan, India, and Brazil. And these 4 groups have G4 group is basically the group which with the 4 countries which want to join the United Nations Security Council as a permanent member. And but with these 4 countries, there are few opposing countries, such as in Brazil is opposed by Paraguay and Argentina, and Italy opposes the whole G4 group as it wants to be as it wants to make a reform of a semi-permanent member, which is for a maximum of more than a decade. And similarly, India is opposed by Pakistan and China. And Japan is opposed by South Korea. Germany is opposed by Italy. And hence these 4 countries united and made a group G4 so that they could unifyly get into the permanent member and put pressure on the General Assembly. So the oppositions in United Nations for India to join as a permanent member. So as I said, that the permanent members are also not as supportive, as they want centralized power, and they don't want to decentralize into the countries, into continents such as Asia and Africa, because as we know that most out of the countries that in the permanent council, no country is of Africa, and such they want to have a 5-country monopoly so that they could have the major decisions taken by themselves. And yeah, monopoly means having a single rule, or means controlling something or the country or county or boundaries by by one person or a group of people. Pakistan, as I said, that Pakistan also opposes this and is constantly trying to gain China's trust, as China is a permanent member in the Security Council. And although India is the only country which is backed by 4 permanent countries, along with the various other nations, this term of 2021-2022, the most number of votes for the non-elected non-permanent members of the Security Council was for India, as out of 193 votes, only 3 votes were opposing India, and all the other countries had faith in India as being the non-permanent member there. And I don't need to tell that the 4 permanent countries, the 5th country is China, which doesn't want India to be in the United Nations Security Council, as it is kind of a economic rival and also have a border disputes between them. So you can ask questions if you want to.
Someone ask questions. The ones who are sitting here. I hope you have gone through the slide.
If USA believes himself to be a superpower, why doesn't it help India to get into UN as a permanent member?
Yes, so someone asked that if USA is a very big superpower, why don't USA allow India to be in the Security Council? As I said earlier, that as 5 people have veto power, and if all of the 5 have to agree to a single statement, and if the other if on not only 4 or 3, how many it would be, get into the statement and others don't like or disagree to the statement, then it is allowed as an it is it is cancelled, the reform is cancelled. So as I said, that 4 countries, United States wants India to be a permanent member. Even Barack Obama at his time said that India has done a lot to the United Nations and played an important role in also the peacekeeping forces, and Barack Obama wants to be India as a permanent member. So, but as I said, that doesn't want to be China doesn't want India to be in the Security Council, and hence China uses its veto power to get India down in the non-permanent members list. So Sangarsh, the observer countries, there is only one country, which is Afghanistan, and the other one is the European Union, which is responsible for all the trades, economic growth, budget making of the European countries.
The last was on 16 July 2016.
Yes, and the last date was added on 26 in the year 2016.
Yeah, 16th of July.
On 16th of July. And Soham, why China is against of India, not about including India in UNO? Then how should India enter in UNO? So there is China would, because China has also laid a condition that India has to have a very average relation, as we know that India has a very good relation with the United States of America, and China wants that they should also invest more, as China invests a lot in India, but China wants to be a great power in the management faculty of India. So China is not allowing India, because China says that India should break the bonds with USA, and so that, and then it'll allow India to enter into the United Nations. And China is against India also because of the economic growth, and also as India is an emerging China too, and India is also the fastest growing economy in the world, and wants to slow down its process, and also need a break from the other countries so that they could focus more on India, because there are many, China also has issues with South China Sea, the other countries in Asia such as Indonesia and other Thailand and etc. Cambodia. So that's why China is against India of not including it in the United Nations organization or the Security Council.
Slides.
So you can take screenshots of the slides. I will play it one by one.
Take you across and just.
In the Security Council can use veto power anytime in any decision.
Take back to those slides where you have highlighted about the veto fight. Yeah, about the veto fight. Did you explain about it?
Yes.
See the third point where he has highlighted. Okay, you can go across the countries like USA, UK, France, Russia, and China. So any single can go ahead with it. Apart from these countries, no other countries can go. Okay, only these have the veto power, and any single, as you ask the question, they can go ahead with. So remember those 5 countries. Name the 5 countries without saying.
USA, UK, France, China, and Russia.
Very good.
How can we promote security when there's disturbances between the countries which are already present as permanent members, like Russia, China, and USA. Russia and USA are rivals. China and USA are
In that case, how can the veto power get in?
Yes. So someone asked that how can, if
It's not someone, it's
it's
Ayush.
Ayush Mishra who asked that there are 5 permanent members, but it's not that the 5 permanent members are be friendly with themselves and have a very good relation. As we know that US and China have a very informal has a very formal relation with each other. So it's that the United, as I said, that it's an intergovernmental organization. So the government between them also has the major role to play in it. And it's also not only the United Nations that helps in keeping peace between them, but also the governments in the specific countries have also played the role of keeping the peace, as they know that this could lead to a major damage and also cause a war if we go extensive and have a very bad effect on the environment and the climate of other countries as well. We are open to questions. You can ask questions in the chat.
Shape between take it to the next slide. Prior to- Yeah, about this. See now the organization of conference, okay, the writing reports and studies of preparation of the budget. Now explain them about what kind of budget and how the organization pays the conference. So only then they'll understand about that point. Go ahead with this next one.
Someone has asked questions. India is given. Yes, Ayush Shingate asked that was India given chance of Security Council during its establishment? Yes, as we know, a very famous incident that Jawaharlal Nehru, instead of India being as a permanent member, they asked Jawaharlal Nehru asked China to be as a permanent member, as the relations with China in 1945 were very good. And Jawaharlal Nehru also gave the China its permanent seat instead of India being in the permanent Security Council list. So India was given a chance in being the Security Council during its establishment. Yes, it was a big mistake, as we are dealing with the repercussions of it now.
हेलो क्लास में आना
So Ayush asked that can the General Assembly majority voting make us permanent member? No, as the General Assembly, the most of the as I said that most of the countries are agreed that India should be a permanent member, but the thing is that the permanent members of the Security Council, which are the five ones, have out of the five, China has always been on the opposition of India for not being as a permanent member, as they have a very descriptive and a very discrete relation in the borders and all the military ammunition. So as a economically they help each other. India and China are economically they trade very good, but in terms of the border lines and other ammunition and arms relation, it's a very more competitive than a very friendly exchange. So General Assembly can ask the permanent members, but it's on the permanent members to have to include India in the list. And as China is not allowing India to be in the permanent list.
Then how many
So
members
Soham has asked that why is India not saying in United Nations that we had given China place at the time? Then they should also allow us as a permanent member. So the thing is that the it's the allowing and the documentation of being a permanent member is a very formal one, and it's not an informal conversation that we should give a place to this country or the other. So if even if India says that, it would be rejected as there is a specific documentation, and there's also a signature of Jawaharlal Nehru on the property, and also the have the rights. China also has the rights to disclaim it, because India itself gave the seat, and India didn't accept or and have any advantage of it. But China will not, because it's an informal way. If India says that it should, China should allow us, because China is now an kind of a enemy to to India. So it's kind of very strange, because China is very competitive in the military against India. So even if India says that it should even if India says to China that it should give a seat, in China would straightly reject, because there is a documentation of it, and there are few procedures which have to be followed, and it's not an informal way to say that this country should be a permanent member or not. It has signature documents, which have said that China should be a permanent member.
what is the secretary?
So Ayush asked that, is there any law in United Nations that can take out China from permanent member by the majority of other 4 permanent members or not? So there is not any law stated in the United Nations, we should say the rule book, because if it was possible, then the four out of the 5 countries might have took any other country out, and it would be a less than a 1 or 2 member list. So hence it no permanent member can take China out of the permanent member Security Council, as it's stated in the rule book that there would be 5 permanent members, and the further they can add a permanent member but can't remove the other 5 from the list. And the secure this and the Secretariat of the United Nations, which, as we can informally say, the President Antonio Guterres has secured its second term because he was previously also elected by the General Assembly to be the Secretary General, and again he has been elected for the second term at the United Nations.
And the two era that he had formed was solidarity and
Because of the era which he formed previously in 2019 was a very structural and a grid system, so it was a very equality based and had equity between the countries.
solidarity and equality develop the difference.
And then I don't sign any
There was a
invention.
momentum for transformation about the bureaucracy and
Unless-
necessity.
Then at time Jawaharlal. So someone Ayush asked that during formation of United Nations there must USSR now instead of Russia. Then after disintegration of USSR, how did Russia did get veto power? So the USSR was mainly a group. It was because Russia was a very big country, and the president of Russia was also the president of USSR. So the country, so as I said, that it's an intergovernmental organization. So the government running Russia and USSR was the same. So after being divided into the countries, out of which Lithuania was the last country which broke out of USSR in 1991. Russia and the USSR president was being elected in Russia, and since the seat of United Nations Security Council went to Russia instead of getting to any other countries like Czech Republic and Lithuania, others. So Soham also asked that if Jawaharlal Nehru didn't sign any agreement with China related to that, related to the permanent membership of the United Security Council, India would have been in place of China. Yes, it's absolutely correct, because if Jawaharlal Nehru didn't give the seat to China, then India would be the permanent member of it and have the privileges of having the power to use veto and having the more a good uh, a good place in the United Nations.
Yes, one more trend.
So let me ask some questions that, as Secretary General of United Nations, Antonio Guterres is from which country?
Huh?
Ayush has given the correct answer. It's Portugal. It's not USA. Yes.
And the tenure from when did he start his tenure? Do you have any idea? When?
So Ayush asked that the United European President is from Portugal or not. No, it is not from Portugal. It's from Germany, and it is Ursula von der Leyen. European Union is from Belgium. European Union is a organization which runs the Europe's trades, economical movement, and has many subgroups, which is, and also it has a private, it also has a continental court which takes cases from the countries in the Europe. There are total 27 countries in the European Union. Yeah, great.
So this is the latest news.
European Union has also introduced some reforms for 2030 and 2030 till 2030 and 2035, that by 2030 it would reduce the emission of greenhouse gases by 55%, and also they would have use of electric vehicles till 20, and have the use of electrical vehicles in all the Europe by the year of
out of petrol powered cars. Okay, they'll have petrol powered cars till 2035.
Yes.
This is the latest news. Yes, me. Repeat it.
And by 2035 they would have electric vehicles, phase out of the having petrol cars, phase out of petrol cars, and it would run in all the Europe in by the year 2035.
Okay, and this plan was created by the ETS. What is ETS? Are you aware?
And European Union, as I said, that there are many organizations. Out of that, it is ETS, which is emissions trading system. This is an initiative by ETS.
Any doubts, ask them. If not, thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for
Ask them if they have
in
any
the meeting.
doubts.
They will be listening to me.
All right, thank you, students. On behalf of Team ADCI, I would like to thank Dave. And in case you have any doubts, you can also watch this on YouTube again. Okay, since the lecture was live, and you can also connect to us from our team. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Clap for him.